And good day to everybody. I am Walter and I'm the Dutch mentor. Welcome to our live session today about building habits and behaviors. And we call these atomic habits and behaviors. We're going to wait a few minutes as it's still a little bit early. I always sign in a couple of minutes to see if I can help out to overcome any technical issues. As you are coming into this or maybe looking at a later time, I would encourage you to go visit our website at thedutchmentor.com. We offer programs both for individuals, those who are struggling in their current role. Maybe you have recently transitioned from a technical position into a leadership role and just need a little bit of help along the way to get you started, to get you aligned, to get you transitioned from doing to leading. Book a consultation. Let's have a conversation to see how I can help you out. Mentorship is different from coaching. Mentorship is about sharing my deep personal experiences that I gained, both good, bad, and ugly, as I climbed the proverbial career ladder. And it's more of an intimate setting. We do things on a weekly basis. And of course, I make myself available on an as-needed basis in case something happens during the week. It's always done in confidence. And it is, I've had great relationships. You can look at some of the referrals and some of the comments I made with past clients on how it has benefited them. I work with people who are in transition or sometimes involuntary, looking for a job. I can deploy some of the strategies that have been proven. Very proud that recently we have had 5 out of 5 people who were displaced have now been placed into roles equal or higher than they were, including one person who's been very brave to go out on their own and set up a successful business. So if you're in that position, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. I do some pro bono work, and I'm always willing to pay it forward and give it back. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me. I have some room on the calendar to add some pro bono clients. Of course, some of the best work we could do is working with organizations to work with teams, and obviously a team leader who might be struggling in the organization on either who just came on board or has been there for a while to get that team aligned around metrics. And it is something that's very difficult for most people. We can come in and we can be kind, we can be tough, we can push, we can pull, but to get people to work for the same cause, performance, and measure those things and take appropriate countermeasures is not that easy to do. And often we get really into that vortex of meetings and distractions that we really never get to spend the time necessary to build those leadership capabilities or the capacity on the team to be able to perform. So hiring me and bringing me in to work with your individual teams, it really can help your organization to accelerate. I work with teams 1 hour per week and on an ad hoc basis in between as needed to build their capacity, capabilities, give them the confidence and the tools in order to be able to succeed in an environment that fits your needs, your North Star. And again, we have seen clearly that those who receive just a little bit of attention on a very regular basis adopt and engage, and it builds trust. And those are really the key ingredients to building a high-performance team. So with that said, I don't want to make this an advertisement about the business. It's about giving back and paying it forward. Today, it is more about, how can I build these atomic habits and behaviors? And that's exactly the reason why I wrote the book, Happy Leadership. Because I get asked often, so how long does it take to get used to to build a new habit of behavior? So, well, nothing happens overnight. Just think about that. If you put your pen into your dominant hand and write your first and last name, it feels normal. You don't even have to think about it. It looks uniform. It even looks pretty. But if you put that pen into the opposite hand and you have to write your first and last name, it's kind of awkward. It feels strange. It's probably even a little ugly. Some are better than others. But that is a really good representation on what it is to change processes in your organizations. And we do this all of the time, sometimes by choice and sometimes by regulation. But what we don't do is give people the time to build new habits and behaviors. We have this performance expectation overnight, or we check into them maybe once a week or twice a month, or we see how they do after 2 or 3 months. But that's not how you build habits and behaviors. It is really done over a 60 to 120 day period of time. And that's where you can build atomic habits, right? You're really focusing on those things that matter most, that will have the greatest impact on your performance and that of the organization. And you want to do that in a servant leadership style. So there are 5 attributes I'm going to give you today that is a really good starting point to raise self-awareness and self-commitment. Change always have to start with you, right? But I need to learn how difficult it is and how to hold myself accountable. So as we go through this, the next 5 or 6 slides, you will learn about the 5 key attributes. And I want you to think about that. Not only say, how well am I doing that today, or should I change? I want you to think about it. What can I do every single day, and how can I measure that on every single day? And start making progress to whatever it is that you desire the end goal to be. But I promise you that if you practice this just 15 minutes per day, you can become the leader that you always wish you had. And certainly the one that your team wants to thrive and can thrive in. Sadly, a lot of the mentees I work with, I feel their bosses should come join for a few sessions. So with that said, let's get started. I hope you enjoyed the slides. It is something that should speak to your heart and give you some of the tools today. At the end of the presentation, you have an opportunity to download a QR code and follow that link in order to be able to download the book at no cost at all, because I want to spread the word. I want to get people to do this. So it's always good to know from somebody I respect. One of my mentors, Jake Ballantyne, read the book and is utilizing bits and pieces of this in his own day-to-day operations now. But it really is about happy leadership or servant leadership or 360 leadership, whatever word you want to put to it. It's not directive leadership. It is about working with people, right? It's not about it's about them, right? It's about empathy. It is a game changer for aspiring and seasoned leaders, right? It's a practical application to go from doing to leading and adapting to new habits and behaviors, right? It is easy to implement. And again, the book will give you a guide, right? It will help you deeply understand on what actions you need to take on a daily basis in order to have sustainable change. And then the outcome is that we want sustainable change. I always laugh is that, I don't bother going to webinars or conferences. Why? Because, at the end of the day, a Monday morning comes around, I go back to my own office and I have an inbox full of emails and all kinds of things I need to do, what I missed out on the previous week. So the learning that comes out of those types of events is at best 10 or 15%. So I'll be right up front. What I'm going to say today will at best stick maybe 10, 15% of it, unless, of course, you take action. And so I go to conference and webinars now to be able to pick out certain specific things that I can put into action and practice on a daily basis and measure my own performance against that in order to be able to establish new habits and behaviors. So I encourage you to do the same thing, right? If you want to make a real difference, if you want to learn to adopt new habits and behaviors, whatever it is you decide to do, what I'm going to talk about really, really works. So without further ado, what are the 5 key attributes of a leader who leads to context, not control? Somebody who represents the 360 or the situational type leader or the servant type leader. I don't need to put a name to it. It is something that speaks not about I, but about we, right? It is how we can flatten the hierarchy. How can we motivate and inspire the team members to bring the very best out of them? These 5 attributes, and it starts with humility, right? It is about the leadership recognizing one's own limitations. It is our responsibility to understand that I do not need to be the best and smartest on the team. It is my responsibility to bring the best out of everybody or to hire the right people in the right roles, right? If I lead with confident humility, people would want to work with me and people will feel comfortable speaking up and pushing back, because that's where real growth comes from, right? So leading with humility is number 1. Number 2 is embracing authenticity, right? You have to be your unique self. You cannot go out on stage and always pretend that you're an actor being somebody else, because people can see through that, right? It is genuine and transparent behavior that includes at times showing your vulnerability, showing your human side. And I'm not talking about inviting all of your team members to meet you on Facebook or wherever we meet people these days. It is about making sure that they too know that you are relatable, right? People automatically try to compare you against somebody else. What we want to encourage people is to learn to be relatable. And through that process, you can become highly trustworthy and you can become highly reliable. If you're going to say something because you mean it, you're more likely to follow through on it. And as I will show you later, if you document it openly, you're even more likely to actually follow through on that. So it is about communication, about being vulnerable, and about making yourself available to your team and make it a priority, right? Leading is not about going from meeting to meeting. Leading is about representing a vision with authenticity and bringing people to the table and bringing the best out of them. Remember, humility and authenticity. Now we have two choices, right? We can come in and hammer hard, or we can embrace. Now, this is at times where people tend to disagree. Well, you can be all soft. Well, I don't say we all need to be soft. And loving those you lead is vitally important to leadership, getting to know people on a genuine level. But with love comes tough love. But even tough love can be delivered in a positive environment, right? It's not about ignoring the challenges, but it is about facing them and learning how to give constructive feedback, how to receive feedback, right? But it is your job to inspire the resilience and create hope and motivate the team with fierce resolve. That's where true productivity comes from. So it's not telling people what to do. It's in positivity, having a conversation, explaining to people to what is expected of us, and then ask them why and how they can contribute to that. Once you make that connection and you can escalate it if they are non-compliant, or if they are compliant to recognize with abundance, that's where leading with positivity is going to pay the greatest benefits, right? Dividends, I should say. Next is about clarifying purpose. And that is something that is nothing worse. And I represent this with a bullseye, right? Wouldn't it be horrible that you are being told you need to improve a system or a process, but you don't know what the outcome expectation is? This happens all of the time. Or we ask to improve something we cannot measure. That's next to impossible. It's like going to play darts in a dark room and you're not even being told where the dartboard is. But you have to think about that as a leader. You have to lead through context, not control. We need to take more time and explain to everybody why this is important. And how is that going to impact them? And how they can impact the outcome. And it's not about outcomes, but it's about the drivers. What can they do as individuals to contribute to the cause, to contribute to the outcome? And we'll talk a little bit later about how often we need to measure that. And the last one is about cultivating empathy. And there's a big difference between empathy and sympathy, right? Sympathy is feeling sorry for somebody. Empathy is about feeling with somebody, right? It's the ability to understand and share feelings. And that's a bi-directional, right? If you're only the listener and you're not sharing back, it's very difficult to create that trust bond between the two of you. And trust is the one non-negotiable. If there is no trust between two people, it's very difficult to build performance, right? The key here is to learn how to become an active listener, to be genuine to your team members, right? And making decisions that consider the emotional and human aspect of the workplace. And that speaks to culture, right? There's nothing worse than organizations that talk about safety in their mission statement, but the word safety is never mentioned at any of their meetings. Right? That's where we as leaders need to come to the table and change. And leading with empathy, being relatable, leading with positivity, humility, and authenticity is really the key to driving culture in an organization. And as we all know, culture cannot be changed overnight. That is a long-term project. But culture is represented often by a balloon. Right? A balloon that is filling becomes more and more beautiful and brighter, and it stands out, and it tells us something. But only one mistake, one pinprick can blow that balloon up in a heartbeat, and it all falls apart. So the 5 key attributes of a highly effective leader that we're representing here is something we need to do every single day. So how can we do that, right? How can we take meaningful action in order to get the outcomes that we desire? Well, again, listening to this or reading about this is fine. And I'm sure you can relate to it. I'm sure you have heard it all before. I have. I'm sure you have too. The key thing is that what are we going to do with this information? I've been warned, and I will warn you too. Listen, we don't want to be the last book we have read, right? If you read one book a week, that's a lot of changes, and your team will feel that. But these are 5 fundamental changes you can make in your world, and make an assessment of how well you're doing that today, and what that next level would look like. And I can almost guarantee that even the best servant leaders can make continuous improvement in these 5 particular areas. The key thing is that you want to design a daily activity. And once you design a daily activity, when you hold yourself accountable on a daily basis, it goes back to the simple thing of having a scorecard: red, yellow, or green. Did I go out and do the things I said I was going to do today? I didn't, it's red. I kind of sort of did it, is yellow. And if I did it well, I met or exceeded expectation, it is green. And then you need to do it on a daily basis, because it's the brain that picks up the colorimetrics. If they see more red and yellow, it will tell you, if you listen close enough to yourself, that you are not doing the things you said you were going to do. Now, you heard me say earlier, right? 15 minutes a day of practicing, working on the habits that you want to establish over a 120-day period of time, you too can establish these hardcore attributes of highly effective leaders and have a meaningful impact on your team. But even after 120 days, you might not want to measure it on a daily basis, but you should do it at least on a weekly or monthly basis to stay in check with it. Now, of course, anything you want to accomplish. I want to drink more water per day. You can use a scorecard. I need to go to the gym 3 days a week. You can use a scorecard. I want to perform and do quality checks. You can use a scorecard. You want to go out on the Gamba walk. You can use a scorecard. I can promise you, those people who use scorecards accelerate. I've had over 300 clients that I've worked with, and every single last one that was committed with using a scorecard has outperformed others. Now, I am a person that I can lead you to water, but I can't make you drink. It's entirely up to you, the audience, to say, listen, I can buy into this. I can understand what Walter is talking about. I even understand how a scorecard, and I'm going to give you a free scorecard. It doesn't have to be very complex, but it is about measurement. So again, in the book, it will line out, I'll give you very specific examples and actions you can take over a 120-day period of time in order to continuously raise self-awareness and self-commitment and development in these areas. But again, any habit you want to build is done in the same way. Identify the habit you want to attain. That's the goal, the target. How often do you want to do a specific task? And then measure your own performance against that. So with that, as an individual, that could look like a scorecard in your room, in your office. You can share between you and an accountability partner. It is the fact that you need to put a scorecard together. So if you're interested in getting my scorecard that I've designed over here, I'm happy to send you the Word document. Just send me a quick email at thedutchmentor@gmail.com or info@thedutchmentor.com. And I'll be happy to send you the scorecard that you can redesign for your particular purpose. But the layout is very simple. What am I going to do? How often am I going to do it? And measure every single day how well you're doing it. If you see more than 2 yellows and reds in a row, it requires a countermeasure. If you see green week after week after week, day after day, week after week, then maybe you need to either step up the game to the next level, or you take a new measure on. You have established a new atomic habit, something that is deeply meaningful and impactful to the team, or whatever the cause may be. And it's a time to pick up the next habit that you want to work on. Now, there are 5 slots here and the 5 attributes I talked about. Never exceed 5 of anything. Right, what I teach as the 4 key responsibilities, and I will be a talk in the near future. Right, love those you lead with context, not control, creating a winning environment, and work with great focus. And focus is severely diminished when we go past number 3 things that we are responsible for, and certainly after 5, most likely you will not perform to the highest level. Right, sometimes we just have to say no. My plate is full. We have to make sure that we're working on the right things, and that is often not the case, right? But that's for another talk. We work on to-do lists rather than priority lists. Not everything is weighted equally. The scorecard can help you with this tremendously. Again, I encourage you to do this in your office, on your desk, and even share with accountability partner. If you would like to, partner up with me, reach out to me. Go to my website, thedutchmentor.com, book a free consultation. Let's have a chat on how can this have a material impact on you. And again, having an accountability partner for a 6-month period of time, for example, is tremendously impact on your career. Working with teams on a weekly basis and guide them will have meaningful interaction and impact on performance. And funny enough, you as the boss or the boss's boss will not have that same impact, for the simple fact is that you have too many other things to do. Right? But measurement, right people, the right roles, making sure that we're working on the right things, make sure that we have meaningful actions, there's an established cadence of accountability, and that we take appropriate action is where the magic takes place. So with that said, I love some feedback on the conversation that we had today for the last 20-some minutes. You can scan this QR code on your telephone. Just follow the steps. You can give me feedback, and you'll get a free copy of the book. They'll give you step-by-step directions. It's a guide, right? It's not something that tells you what to do, but it gives you a guide on how you can establish atomic habits for yourself. If you are interested, I host an open coaching call every Friday at 12 o'clock. You can join that. If you want to send me an email, I'll add you to the invite list. Once you can copy and paste the Zoom link into your calendar yourself and join at any time. We will have one topic per week. We talked about 80-20 Pareto principle last week. This week it has all been about building strong habits and behaviors based on the book, The Atomic Habits. And we will be picking a new book, a new focus that lends itself to continuously developing self, which is one of the tenets of a highly effective and performing leader. So with that said, thank you very much for joining me today. I'm going to minimize the screen to see if there's any questions at this point in time. And let's see, I can only look at one platform. And if there's any questions from anybody on any of the other platforms, because we are simultaneously broadcasting on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and a few other places. If you have any questions, by all means, leave a question in the comment section, and I'll address them one by one. Again, thank you for joining me today for this session. Next time, we will be talking about the 4 key responsibilities of a highly effective leader, and we'll dive a little deeper on what it is that you can do to have a greater impact on your team. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. This will be the end. You can find me at thedutchmentor.com. Book a free consultation. I'd be happy to have a chat. I'm sure we can add value to you. Again, no pressure sales. If you would like to work with a coach and mentor, I would love that you consider myself. But there are many people that are out there that are very good. Again, going to the Olympics by yourself is not a recipe for success. Right? If you want to climb that career ladder, ask for help. Right? And it's often your bosses are too busy to do this. You have to get some external help. Make that investment in yourself, and you'll see that over time, as you lead with cause, you'll reap the benefits and rewards. You'll have a greater impact on the mission, and my mission, of course, having an impact on patient care. So by developing better leaders, they will have better and greater impact on the front line, and the front line will take better care of the patients. That's how I'm working today. That's my mission. That's my statement. Reach out to me anytime. We'll talk soon again. Take care and have a wonderful day.